I am up in North Carolina, not on Lake Toho or any of those other lakes. I'm practicing for a BassMasters tournament, the second BassMasters Open of the year, with my buddy Kevin Steele. He's from Kissimmee. He's fishing as a co-angler. We're up here practicing. This isn't our first day of practice. This is actually our 4th day of practice. Trying to figure out Lake Norman, Charlotte, North Carolina. It's a beautiful lake, full of spotted bass and largemouth. The trick is to find bigger largemouth. Catching them on top water, little whopper plopper. Kevin's been catching a lot of fish on a swim bait and a crankbait. But this video is not coming out till after the tournament's over. So I figured I'd film at least one day of practice so everybody can see how lost I am. But I'm not gonna wear a camera. It's kind of hard to fish when you really got to catch fish wearing that camera. So you're not gonna see a lot of cool shots of me setting the hook. But you'll get to see what a day of practice is like, and how guys that fish for a living, like I do, on all the Florida lakes with all the grass, how lost we can feel when we're on these reservoirs that have not a stitch of grass in the whole lake. It's docks, rocks, and seawalls. Muddy water, clear water, everything. Stay tuned and let's see how the day goes. How you feeling about the marina? I feel better about it now. Good Lord, what do I have? Another catfish. This is definitely not a bass. That was on the shaky head. It's a catfish, I can tell by the way it's pulling. Good one?
He's a big one.
So I got a catfish, another giant catfish. I'm not real surprised because this is our 3rd giant catfish on a shaky head. You gotta be kidding me. Old slimy catfish. How'd you pick yours up, by the gill?
Yeah, I had one under the gill and one under the edge.
He hammered my shaky head. Giant catfish. So that jig head was so wrapped up in his skin. That was fun. About 2 seconds after I set the hook, I realized it wasn't one of these little 2 or 3 pound bass that you catch here on Lake Norman. That was giant catfish number 3 over the 4 days we've been here so far. 2 on a shaky head, and what'd you catch yours on? On a, and 1 on a swim jig. That was not the biggest one. The 2 we caught the other day, I think were bigger than that, weren't they?
I think so.
Yeah, the 2 we caught the other day were bigger than that. So, if there's any cat fishermen up here in North Carolina that happen to watch this video, you don't need old stinky chicken livers and all that goofy stuff. You just need to go bass fishing. I need to fish the Catfish Masters tour. Can't find any grass. I've been looking for mats all day. He caught one about 3 pounds, a little over 3 pounds. Yeah, on a crankbait. He's been catching some fish on a crankbait. Bright red bomber. And then right after he caught that, I caught a keeper, and a crawfish claw fell out of his mouth.
Crawfish come out. Yeah.
Bright red. I mean, red as can be. This guy's never been on TV before, on camera, so he's a little shy. It's Roland Martin. But I had 4 keepers yesterday and he had 2. But I don't like that clear water, to be honest with you.
I only had 8 or 9 pounds yesterday. I didn't have a very good day.
If you put us together, we had about 10 pounds.
We had about 10 yesterday.
So that's a guy that's been fishing for a couple of years. Goes by the name of Roland Martin. He's been trying this whole tournament thing for a while. I don't think it's really worked out for him real well. There's somebody you think you're never too old to fish. The man's like in his mid-70s and still travels all over the country. Practice as long as we did yesterday. And a lot of you guys might know I grew up with his son. We were friends all through college, and Roland and Scott have really helped me out through my career. But I'm pretty sure he's following me around because this is the 2nd day in a row, and I don't appreciate it much. He needs to go find his own spots to fish. Just kidding.
Oh, good cat.
Oh, that was a good catch.
That would have been the big one too.
There's one. Little guy. Just had a little one on the whopper plopper. In practice, you don't want to, when you're practicing for a tournament, you don't want a lot of people to see what your pattern is, especially if you're on something. Don't know if I'm on something, but I just had a little one, wasn't a keeper. They got to be 14 inches here. It looked like a spotted bass on my little whopper plopper. But there's 2 boats sitting up here about 100 yards in front of me. So I just wasn't really trying to get them in. It doesn't matter on practice days anyway. It's all about finding out the patterns and finding out how big a fish you're on. So he jumped off, which was actually probably a good thing. But we're just running a riprap bank here on a highway. That's why you hear all the traffic in the background. First day we were here, I caught some good fish on top water, but it's kind of gone downhill since then. But we got a good overcast morning after having a bunch of rain last night. So this is a perfect opportunity to figure out that top water deal. Man, as you go along here, there's like 15 different baits to pick up from each 10. This is which, you know, want to throw this one in this spot, this one in this spot. Oh, I just got busted right there.
Oh, yeah?
There, you got it.
Oh, there you go.
He's a giant. That was a giant. I think it was a largemouth. Actually, it wasn't a giant. He wasn't much bigger than this spinnerbait. I got a 4-bladed spinnerbait. This is like a local special here. 4-bladed, 4 willow leaf spinnerbait. Caught quite a few fish on it. I got hit pretty hard when I threw this thing in there just now up against this seawall. I'm not sure if that's the same fish. If these fish here, you rarely catch just one when you get in an area. If you catch one, you usually get multiple bites. But it seems like the bigger fish are kind of mixed in with the smaller fish, so it's just kind of about, I could be way off. The tournament doesn't start for 2 days, but it's about getting bites and then hoping you get a big one, or weeding through the small ones to get a big one. The houses on this lake are amazing. This giant mansion behind us is for sale if anybody's interested. Not sure how well you can see that in the camera. I'm sure it's only $3 or $4 million. On the swim bait?
I just don't know why they're not eating. Yeah, it's like, why would it? Oh, there you go. You
Shaky
got my
head.
fish.
Well, I never felt him hit it. See how that bloody popped up? Keeper.
Yep. These already tore up on the side too.
Yeah, so that's a pretty good keeper spot there. 2-pounder probably. Actually, let's see what these weigh. We haven't weighed a fish yet.
Nope.
£1.9, £1.5, which is what it looks like.
Right here.
On his magic crankbait. He's caught a bunch of fish on this crankbait. It's like a red and chartreuse bomber. 3 series, I think it is. Which I thought was kind of a ridiculous color until he caught one about 3.5 pounds on it yesterday and had another 3-pounder follow to the boat. And then I caught a smaller keeper right after that, and it had a bright red crawfish claw come out of its throat. And then we drove all over town last night looking for more of those, and we didn't find any. So he's got a magic crankbait on. Found some similar ones. We might have to run to Bass Pro or something in the next couple days if these other crankbaits that we got that are similar don't work. Has to be a bomber. That makes a big difference a lot of times. They wiggle just a little bit different, a little bit different sound, and it may not be so much the color as the type of bait.
I was surprised how much it comes to like a little point.
What's that?
The little bill.
Oh yeah.
The little point.
That's shallow right there. 3 feet deep.
Wow.
Oh, there's one on a crankbait. Caught one on a crankbait, a red crankbait. Moral victory. It is a baby. These are definitely not largemouth. Largemouth, when you hold them, they stop doing that. This is how you get hooks in your hand. You can't catch a fish here without showing it to another boat. Spinnerbait feels good. Dude, I got a good one on spinnerbait, I think. No. God, these fish pull so hard sometimes. It's a keeper. If I'd have lost that fish, I'd have sworn it was probably 4 pounds. But that's barely a keeper, maybe 15 inches on a spinnerbait. Spotted bass. On this lake, when you catch one, you mark the spot and keep moving. Ooh, just got hit right here on the shaky, on a boat ramp. You gotta be kidding me. Caught one on a boat ramp. It's not a keeper, but I caught one on a boat ramp. A 13-incher. It's a moral victory, because everybody's been telling us they're all over boat ramps, but we can't catch them on boat ramps. Also can't catch any largemouth since that first 2 days. All of our largemouth bites were up from here in really dirty water. Normally, being from Florida, if we have dirty water, the fish run from it. But for here, every time we get in clear water, for me, we can't catch them. We can catch them better in the dirty water. So maybe when I go back to Kissimmee, I'll go fish a bunch of muddy water, see what happens. Oh, that's a good one. Maybe. Got a pretty good one on. There's a boat. The old shaky hit under the dock. Not a bad fish. That one probably weighed about 2 pounds, I would think. So we're pretty much done with practice day number 4. It's the only day I filmed because I got to practice. It takes a lot doing all the filming and stuff. Actually it doesn't, I just have to keep hitting start and stop. But anyway, we marked a lot of new, oh, I just missed one right there on the spinnerbait. We marked a lot of new spots today. Found some pretty good spots. I've got about 30 waypoints set up with 1 day of practice left. Tomorrow won't be a full day of practice because we have registration and everything. Lake Norman's a beautiful, I got hit again. Lake Norman's a beautiful lake with amazing houses. We're sitting in front of one right now. Just not a lot of big fish. I think most of these fish are post-spawn, so a lot of ones we're catching are skinny. But I've been catching them on a shaky head, spinnerbait. have a little bit of a topwater bite the first day anyway, and that went away. So we'll see how I do, and thanks for watching, and please subscribe to my channel. See you.